we go. Hello, hello. Happy Tuesday and welcome to Night Writes. I'm Jax, a fantasy author with a YouTube channel for some reason, and you have come to my weekly writing stream. It happens every Tuesday starting from 8:30 to whenever. And what we do here is pretty simple. For the first half an hour, it's just shooting the shit. We like to hang out, chat for a little bit, and you have an open chat. So if you're on Blue Sky, consider clicking that link so that you can gain access to our open chat room where you can say pretty much whatever you'd like, so long as you're chill with other people and you don't violate YouTube's TOS. Then I will read things aloud. For example, Cryptic just came in and said hello, so I am saying hello back. Is very simple. I read things that you put in chat and respond to them. At 9 o'clock on the dot, we will start our first of the 3 writing sprints or word sprints. These are actually word sprints in name only. They are 20-minute spans of time during which you are supposed to be doing any kind of productivity you want, whether that's actually writing or just vibing and catching up with some self-care. At the end of the 20 minutes, we regroup and talk about how we did. And then we take a little 15-minute break, usually more, and jump right back into it. We do that 3 times in the night. That's 3 word sprints. And then we wrap things up and we're chill and cool with each other. Because I know that a lot of us are fairly introverted, I also include a little bit of an icebreaker every night. That icebreaker is designed to help you ease into chatting with other writers. It's usually a writing question of some sort. So tonight's icebreaker is, do you celebrate milestones? If so, how? And of course it comes because this is September 30th. It is the end of a very long month in which it just feels like this month went by so quickly. There was, for me at least, it was family. Family came in for a few days. Then birthday happened. Then real life shenanigans happened, both good and bad. And it's been a whirlwind. On Blue Sky, I've been participating in Septopolis every single day. That was a world-building prompt event where somebody asked Conry on Blue Sky asked questions, and we answer them about our world. I got to talk a lot about the bee people, the Zizoon, along with the dragons and the elves of Eldana. It was a lot of fun. But now we're getting into October, is the last day of the month, and it went by, like I said, super fast. So it just feels like a good time to be asking ourselves, how do you celebrate? How do you celebrate getting through different things? For me, I don't really do. I do relax. I give myself a little bit of a break. And usually if it's like some kind of real life thing, I'm so terrible. I buy myself like a little treat, as they call it. So I have treats. What I mean by that is it's usually like a coffee and a pastry, or like soda or tea and a pastry. And it's a terrible habit. I'm actually going to be starting in on a couple of different challenges next month. One of them is going to be writing. A couple of them are writing related, but one of them's personal. The personal one is I'm going to try to avoid buying myself like pastries and snacks and things like that. Uh, Basically limiting my sugar intake to just like what I have as ingredients around the house, or things that are included ingredients. Like fruits are still on the table because they're healthy, but also I'm going to only like there's sugar in the peanut butter that I eat as one of my main sources of protein, so I can't get around that. But like anything else, like I'm not having any sort of sugar in my tea. I'm going to even resist using honey. I'm not going to have any sugary pastries or cookies or candy or anything like that. And I'm going to fail in like 2 days, but it's the thought that counts. And I don't know, like I did give up meat, and there are times whenever I still kind of like sneak a little thing here and there. It's like mostly like ramen or maybe it's a piece of fish, but like I haven't had. Okay, that's a lie. I did have a little bit of meat earlier this month because my dad kind of like we all went out to eat, and my parents are still meat eaters, so we had Chinese and they gave me the leftovers. But man, I got so sick from eating what my dad left over. Like he had like this beef and broccoli stuff, and it was just so, mm, yeah. So like I don't miss meat at all, except for like ramen, like instant ramen, which is terrible. Anyway, but yeah. So there's going to be a sugarless challenge this coming month, and on top of that, if you're on Blue Sky, I mean, if you're signed up to my newsletter, I will be talking about some of these challenges. But if you're on Blue Sky, there's a LGBTQ write-a-thon, which is a similar monthly prompt event to Septopolis and Myth August. If you've been following me for a while, if you've been following me for a very long time, you've seen me do this, I think, 3 times so far. But it's basically Amara J. Lynn on Blue Sky puts up prompts for the writing community, for queer writers specifically. And every single day is a different question, and it is so much fun. There's a lot of creativity and a lot of chatting going on. So I am not only going to be doing that every day, but I'm going to do my best to like. There are a couple of prompts that will ask for graphics, so I'm going to try to do like new graphics and stuff like that. It's going to be a really fun event. And on top of that, I'm still going to be doing uh, the rest, or the continuing on with Draft 6. You will still see the streams with my draft open and continuing. And my aim is to get all the way to the Saint Nadia mini arc. So what that means is it will be the introduction of the Zizun who will actually be joining the cast. So we've already had a little bit of glimpse of Zizun back in chapter 2, and they were a cute little trio who were at a farmer's market. But Zizun aren't really going to be a huge part of the plot until a few chapters from now. So we're right now on Act 2, which is the introduction of Sanctuary. Act 3 is whenever Mick accidentally botches a mission in St. Nadia and forces the evacuation of its entire Zizun population. So you'll get to meet Yarrow, you'll get to meet Benjamin, like not Benjamin, but Benjamin, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I have a lot of cute little ideas for how the bees get involved, and I'm really excited. But that will probably, like their introduction proper, if I'm going at the pace I'm going at, will probably be in November. We'll see. But my main goal for next month will be to get to that point. But to answer the main question, the main icebreaker of the night. So yes, I reward myself with treats. So for example, if I have this long writing sprint and I hit a goal that I was trying to aim for, like maybe 5,000 words a day, then I let myself, or I make myself a little microwave brownie, or I make myself some tea and just sort of relax for the rest of the evening, or I let myself play video games, things like that. Um, I don't really celebrate huge milestones like first 50,000 words or first 100,000, in part because the way that I write is by splitting up my novel into chapters, and I did this even before I used Scrivener. So I actually had no awareness of how long my total word count is. But also, for me, a large word count is not something to celebrate. I do, however, celebrate at the end of the draft. So once I reach the end of a draft, I always let it rest, quote unquote. And that's just to walk away from it, let myself reset so that I can actually come at it with new eyes once I get into the editing phase of it and reading through to take notes on what I want to do, or even just like giving myself a buffer before I send it out to betas, that kind of thing. But during that time, I either A, work on new projects, or B, pointedly work on nothing at all and just give myself a rest. So it's like that. Those are the days when I go really hog wild on taking myself out and going into the city to explore. I might buy myself something nice just as a celebration, or I might treat myself to a meal, things like that. So it's like I do celebrate. It's just not the kind of celebrations. And also like I I know that there are tons of people out there who like do launch parties, and I'm like I someday I'll be with you guys, but like right now I'm someday I will get a manuscript publishable. But in any case, that was 11 minutes of rambling about things to come and where or how the month went and so on and so forth. So how is the chat going? Cryptic says, I haven't really celebrated any milestones, but that's kind of because I have never really hit any of the oh so many words in this draft or finished a draft sort of stuff. And that's real. Like, one thing that's always kind of bothered me about uh, writing communities is that there's such a heavy emphasis on publishing, and that's true everywhere. Like, even in fanfiction circles, it's like, or at least the ones that I'm a part of, um, it's more interesting if you put out very lengthy novel length fanfiction, but or if you publish regularly. In self-publishing and just professional writing circles, like there's no real room for the hobbyist writer. So like I don't know, it feels like what I'm trying to say is you're valid. So Cryptic says, closest I get is to knocking out a scene, sharing it with friends, and the celebration is basically just laughing as they yell at me for feeling things about it. See, that is an excellent way to celebrate. I am all for that. And that's really all you need to do when it comes to writing. So 100%. It is totally okay if you have not like put out a full-on book. So long as you so long as you smash words together and people enjoy those words. People other than you enjoy those words, even if it's like a close-knit friendship circle or whatnot. That is still just as valid. Anyway, I will also openly say that I lied to my blue sky. The tea that's pictured in today's ad does not, or was this morning's tea. I'm currently drinking the very first homemade hot chocolate of the year because I had to use the rest of the sugar cinnamon mixture that I used to make turron. And because it's sugar, so like if I can't have sugar next month, you know. But I am like looking at this and I'm like, I really wish I made tea. I'm also looking at the ad and I'm just like delighted that I can post pictures that like legitimately the ads that have used Benjamin have been so much more successful than actual ads. I am going to be using Benjamin to advertise my books. In other words, shout out to anybody who's currently on Blue Sky. Hit that link. Come join us. Anyway, how is everybody doing today? I will give you all a warning that I am a little bit wound up. I've been kind of like bouncy perky for the past couple of days. Part of it is because some good stuff has happened within the past week that has been great. Part of it has been I'm at the part of the Nameless song that I really wanted to get into. Like, we're finally at the dragoning. Mick is finally a dragon, and it's already so much fun. Part of it is just like I'm no longer like overworked, and I'm finally getting a little bit of variety, so that's really cool. But yeah, I've been kind of like bouncing. Uh, at least at night. During the day, it's been like, oh God, I need to drag myself through. I'm nodding off already. Um, yeah, today was kind of a little bit of a struggle, but then again, like last night, I was also vaccinated. P.S. This is a PSA to get your vaccinations. Flu season is right around the corner, you guys, and if you can get vaccinated, you probably should. I always do because I live in New York City, and like I heard things about the latest variant, not of flu, but of you know what, and it's sort of like they're calling it the razor throat one, I think. Let me see. Let me verify this. Nope, yeah, no, it's called razor throat COVID. Razor. I was like that. That doesn't sound great. I am going to go get vaccinated. So, yeah, I guess my response time to vaccination is it being very loopy, but also slight sleep deprivation, slight a whole bunch of good stuff going on. Um, but also like side point, just like a little sidebar, but um, I also get the feeling like I'm just a better person in autumn. And what I mean by I'm just a better person is throughout summer, I'm always like one step away from like depression. But autumn's just sort of like autumn comes in with its like changing leaves and pumpkin spice and colder temperatures. I'm just like, all of a sudden, I feel like I am very happy right now, and I can't explain why. So we're coming up to that. In winter, you know, you see me during winter. It's hit or miss. Like I love Christmas. I hate the stress that surrounds Christmas. Like, be it me getting my ass over to my families, or just people just going out outside for 5 seconds and being like, "Oh no, people!" That's what all the peace on earth and goodwill towards men is fake. But regardless, at the very least, autumn is my bouncy time, and then winter, it's just sort of like, I still feel alright. It's still like good feelings and Christmas movies. And then the end of winter and spring comes along, and I'm like, fuck. Although part of that is like, fuck, I'm allergic to pollen. Or I'm not really. It's like I get hay fever. And I am allergic to pollen when I breathe it in more my sinuses do not like what's going on out there, let's just say. Dust too. So like any kind of dust up in my nose, I'm like, fuck, no, nope, nope. Anyway. Cryptic says, I'm doing pretty good. I've been kind of worked up real hard the last few weeks, and today is the first day where I didn't just feel like I was going to break down over minor inconveniences. I am super sorry to hear that things have been kind of rough for you lately. I hope that days like this continue and that life eases up on you. Anything in particular? If you don't feel pressured to say it, whatever gets recorded here does stick around on my YouTube channel. But like, if you need to talk, my DMs are open. Or if you want to talk publicly, that is a-okay too. Cryptic says it's kind of just been a lot of small and large things compounding on each other and then not getting to really relax about it. Life, I gotcha. So, in other words, like, my sentiment about how I hope things just sort of chill out for you 100% stands. Like, I hope that things just, like, there's a break in the tidal wave eventually. Cryptic says, because, like, during the bathroom, Reno. During the bathroom Reno, we had a lot of stuff go separate from it, and then it was, well, this thing broke, or god damn it, also spilled something. Renovations of any kind are rough. So, like, it seems like there is now, and thank you for the sentiment. How much more do you have to do on the reno, actually? You had a lot of stuff go wrong from it. Okay, that makes a little bit fun autocorrects. But yeah, how much more do you have to do out of curiosity? Oh, it's been done for a bit. We just have kept having hectic days for a while after it. Oh, understandable then. Like, probably cleaning up and whatnot. But at the very least, it's done. The worst part of it is over, and hopefully the little pieces. You mentioned that the break in the tidal wave is basically coming, uh, and since like the large thing is done for sure, yeah. Um, Cryptic says it finished towards the end of July to be more specific. Yeah, still like you're still putting things back together. I getcha. But 2 months later, hopefully, the rest of it comes back together for sure. Cryptic says, I got sick a few days. Corey got sick some other days, but we seem to be finally chilling now. I am delighted for this. Yeah, I'm kind of giving myself a little bit of time to just chillax too, because like, kind of, sort of, today went by a-okay. Um, there was just one thing in the evening that was very nerve-wracking that I had to get done. I cannot say for certain what it is just yet because luck. But continue sending good vibes if you haven't already, or if you have. Um, but before then, it's just sort of like this entire. It's a work day, and it was a work day during which I was like constantly, oh, I should have probably called off because the cycle of, oh no, want to curl up and sleep, but I can't because it is the middle of the workday, and also both of my arms hurt and I can't lie down properly, which is a complaint for sure, but you know how it is. Like, I have never really reacted the way that a lot of people say. Like, you know how there are people out there who get double vaccinated and they are out like nobody's business the next day. I've never had that reaction, but I've had it in milder, which is a little bit funny because if I take medication, then like that that would hit me hard. Like there, like I used to take allergy meds to resolve cough, and my allergist was like, "How are you liking the allergy meds?" During one checkup, he was like, "How are you liking the allergy meds?" And I was like, "Yeah, the cough's going away, and the meds have really been helping me sleep at night. Like they knock me out." And he was like, "I gave you the non-drowsy one," and I'm like, "Well." um yeah, I also tend to get I don't get sick often, but when I do, it's like, oh no, kind of often. So that's also why I'm really glad that I got vaccinated. Like, I've had COVID only once, and for some reason, like, my ex, who was living with me at the time, he was like, he had like a mild cough the entire time. And meanwhile, I spend like 2 days being unable to sleep, and I had like razor throat before we had razor throat. It was great. But like vaccinations do absolutely nothing for me, like other than make my arms really hurt. But it is what it is. Cryptic says my one friend is kind of like that on being knocked out by meds, right? And it also sucks because like if you're like that, then you don't want to take meds during a workday. So sort of like I get this way if I take like Motrin and stuff like that. If I take Motrin, the next thing I want to do is sleep. Uh, so like if I'm in pain, if I have like a cold, if I have a sinus infection and I'm coughing nonstop, if if I have allergies, I can't take meds if I'm working, because if I take meds, then I'm like, I'm sorry, supervisor, I need to take a half day because I'm about to knock myself out. So I just kind of like suck it up and deal with it, which is absolutely terrible, but gotta pay those bills, man. Anyway, it's also 8:58, so like we should also kind of like get ready for our our very first word sprint. So, Cryptic, are you working on anything today? We all know what I'm working on. We are working on the aftermath of dragoning. Y'all, we got to the body horror part, and now we're getting to the part where he wakes up, and it's gonna be great. Especially since this time around, like, on the one hand, it sucks because, like, Eleanor's right there with him whenever he transforms, so she sees him. I can no longer have, like, that moment where she nearly attacks him because, oh no, what did you do with my friend? Well, on the other hand, it's funnier now because she's like, holy shit, he's a dragon. I get to study a dragon up close. A live one. Cryptic is like, I'm probably going to put laundry away tonight. That is a feat and a process, so I encourage you to use these sprints. Incidentally, like, I was listening to the playback, not too, like, the other day, and is, like, the music good? Does it, like, just get super quiet on the playback? Is that what's going on? Because, like, I was listening to the playback and all I could hear was, like, the beat. Like, can you hear actual melodies? Is it good for you guys? I can definitely turn it up. Cryptic says, I finally got it washed yesterday, so putting it away means that I'll finally be caught up on it. I wholeheartedly support this. Go and catch up on your laundry. But I'm also going to leave that is the music good for you guys question in the air, because it is 9 o'clock, so... Cryptic says, it's been good for me usually, but I wouldn't mind it being a little louder. Excellent. We can make it be a little bit louder. So I'm going to crank it up to... Oh, I should have actually taken note of where it was. I think 10 more decibels is good. I can crank it back down if somebody comes in and tells me to knock it right the fuck back down. But anyway, it is 9:01 now, so let's shake off our wrists. Really flex those fingers. Get warmed up, my dudes, because you're going to be doing 20 full minutes of writing. Breathe in. And let it out. One more time for me. Alright. So, you'll see the timer in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. That'll keep you on time. It's currently set to 20 minutes. So, get ready. Get set. I wish you the best of luck. Here we go. first of our 3 sprints. Sorry, I had to delete a little bit because you know how I don't like to stop in the middle of a sentence and then just like wander off and then try to come back to it. So I'll come back to that bit in a moment. But how did we do? I did 528 words, which is not bad. It is definitely it feels nice to get back to like the psychedelic stuff. Like that's what. Let me see if you guys can see my screen. Oh yeah, you can. So basically, we're still in chapter 5. Chapter 5 is the first time we have multiple scenes, and that is because our main character keeps on getting knocked out and having weird ass dream sequences. Except they're not really dream sequences. It's just that a god has taken over his body for a little bit. It's great. He's doing great, and he's just about to wake up to more great. But yeah, I'm super excited about this chapter, can't you tell? Granted, I don't know what's going to happen in the next part of the chapter, or not next part of the chapter, but the next part of the arc. Cryptic says, got the small hamper of laundry put away, then realized I never brought down the big hamper, so I'm gonna have to get that during the next sprint. Totally cool. We are slowly making our way through. Anyway. God, I just feel very tired, I have to admit it. And I only say this because I have yet to actually write the monthly newsletter, and it's going to be quite interesting. Like, I've decided that I'm going to bring back some old writing because we finally got to the dragoning this chapter, or this month. I can words. We finally got to the dragoning this month, and every single time I get to the dragoning, it's always something slightly different, and yet always still the same kind of fun. So what I wanted to do for this newsletter, and I know I'm spoiling it a little bit, but way back, I'm way back in like February of 2022. Way back when I used to be a part of Reichler and doing Flash Fiction Friday, I wrote a cute little story that was called They Never Tell People About Curses, if I recall correctly. But that was the very first story starring Mick and Eleanor. And it was basically, I felt like I wanted to try something fantasy-like just as a little break. And I had this idea just bouncing around in my head of somebody's best friend turning into a dragon, and that best friend and those two people, those two idiots, just like figuring out what to do from there. So finally, that turned into the Nameless Song eventually, but this was before this was even called the Nameless Song, and you will get to see a little bit from that original, very first short story from way back in 2022. And it'll be lined up and compared with the dragoning of 2025, and we're going to talk about how far I've come. But there has to be other stuff in the newsletter. Like there's always going to be a monthly update and where I've been and where I'm going to be going. But it's always like I don't want to talk too much about that stuff. Like I feel like I don't want to say people don't care, but at the same time, like people don't sign up to writing newsletters to read about, you know, what's going on in my life and my thoughts on or my self-doubts about where this project is going. No, you want excerpts and all kinds of other fun little bells and whistles, but like I just have to buckle down and get this done. But I will have a few hours here and there tomorrow to do it. I will probably after the stream ends, I will probably take my notebook and just sort of like jot down the filler content and get to the main analysis bits and all the other fun stuff. And that'll be the monthly newsletter. But it's like, I also kind of just want to curl up on my couch and just sit. Like the brand new couch that I got for writing, it's my little writing nook basically, and I kind of just want to spend the rest of the night doing that, or go and take Benjamin and my knitting bag and go lie down and watch episodes of Mr. Belvedere. P.S. I don't know why I am very fond of just like binging Mr. Belvedere whenever I'm feeling like super tired or sick. There's just something very charming about 80s television in particular. I guess it's been a while since we've really talked about nostalgia, hasn't it? But yeah, like, there's this like post going around that's talking about this AI stuff, and I do want to rant a little bit about this, but like, I've seen it on Instagram too, and there are these dumb videos. Apologies for language, I guess, but they're just stupid little videos that capitalize on the trend of being nostalgic. So you'll have like clearly AI generated bullshit, right? And it'll be like these kids going through Blockbusters or going through a mall and be like, or going through a Chuck E. Cheese and being like, hey, don't you remember when it was like this? Or they'll be like frolicking on the street and they'll be like, remember whenever we didn't have cell phones? And it's like the lowest hanging possible fruit, and people are probably eating this shit up. But like there was one video that somebody posted that featured Walmart, and I'm like, if you were a true 90s kid, you would have shat all over Walmart. Like, I remember very vividly when my town got a Walmart. And for context, super important for context, my hometown hosted the third largest mall in the world, right? It was literally at its peak the third largest mall in the world. And it went downhill for several different reasons. Like there was a neighboring mall in another town that went up that was a little bit more upscale. Then there was like this entire outdoor entertainment complex with like shops and a movie theater and stuff like that that went up in a different part of town. And there was like crime kind of going up at the mall and stuff like that. But like when I was a kid, what happened is my family would used to go to the mall and get all their stuff. And then all of a sudden, the fucking Walmart came in, and then all of a sudden, we're shopping at the fucking Walmart instead of the mall, and it just sucked. Granted, growing up, I was like, yeah, it was probably a good idea. That mall was like, yeah, there were like stabbings in the parking lots and shootings, and it was just in general not a great time for that mall. Also, I'm pretty sure it was filled with black mold before it was shut down. It was going downhill. But the point is, like, it's so fucking funny to me because, like, if you're a true 90s kid, Walmart doesn't represent your childhood. Walmart represents, like, the very sterilized consumerist death of the place that you used to be able to hang out in with your friends. Like, there was nothing in a Walmart. Like, a Walmart was a store, and it was the most generic ass store. Like, you couldn't like hang out in corridors or in the fountains or at the arcade like you would with the mall. No, you didn't have any of that. So when the Walmart came in, and when people stopped hanging out with the mall, what they did was either they would go to the other malls, as I did, or they would do what my brother and that part of the millennial generation did, and they hung out at a fucking gas station. They were hanging out at Sheetz. So, like, and I don't mean to judge, like, adult me is like, adult me finally set foot in a Sheetz, and I was like, oh, this is why they were hanging out at Sheetz. But, it's just the dumbest thing. I don't even remember why I got in on this, but I think No, seriously, I don't remember. Just like, I guess the sterilization of nostalgia, I guess. Um, oh, right, I was talking about 80s commercials and 90s stuff, and it's sort of like, you would think that somebody like me who is very much rah-rah about consumerism and capitalism, like I am very much the first person who would talk at length about how corporatization has killed the modern internet and how everything sucks now that we've taken away both physical and digital third places and things like that. But for some reason, it's just like there's something cute and charming and warming about commercials and sitcoms of the 90s and 80s. Neither, like, the commercials, I will say, do provide a very fascinating cultural snapshot of what people cared about and what people were interested in. Especially if you get like a local commercial in the mix, it's just like so fantastic to see that little glimpse of the era of a particular place. That and you start to see prices and start crying. Like, for example, apparently a Mercedes was $23,000 back in 1995. And I'm crying because my first car was a very cheap Subaru that cost that much. But beyond that, like, there's something just safe about all this entertainment, and that's why I don't really feel at all guilty for sampling old entertainment like this, even commercials, because they used to be art forms. They used to be, it wasn't just like, I'm shoving this product down your throat and I will bleed you dry, or take all this medication that you don't need. Ask your doctors if this medication is right for you, and by the way, get a lawyer and shit like that. It was like people had thought put into these. Like there was actual cinematography, effort put into animation, jingles that took time and musical skill to come up with, and that is honestly just like on full on display. Um, there's actually this really great documentary of something similar by, I want to say, Defunctland. And if you know, if you've heard of the name Defunctland on YouTube, you know exactly where I'm going. But Defunctland did a very long documentary about the 3-note jingle for the Disney Channel. If you grew up with the Disney Channel, you probably know what it is. I did not grow up with the Disney Channel. I was a Nickelodeon child, so I can't sing that jingle for you, but apparently it evokes a lot of nostalgia for people. But at some point, he talks about how the person behind it was an actual composer. And I've listened to the albums that he has on Spotify, and very much so. He was a fantastic musician. But he did this 3-note jingle, and his coworkers were like, yeah, he probably fired that off in like 10 minutes, just off the cuff. But people remember that, and to me, I kind of got like the opposite message from it. Like, people might do ads as a form of paycheck, but the very heart of what they're doing, be it composing jingles or creating this art that's really just a cartoon bee that sells you cereal, there's some form of passion in that. And there was definitely a form of passion in that back when there was back in the 90s and before then, or even like up to the 2000s, because like the 2000s, they were on some kind of weird shit, and it was great. You could tell that people were having fun during that age. But yeah, like nowadays, sort of like you can tell that there's a corporateness to, and a coldness to the way that things are being advertised. Today I was actually watching a video on YouTube, hilariously, about this new trend on Instagram. So I watch a lot of drama videos, and I'm not apologetic for this. But basically, what happens is you would have people creating AI videos, deep faking doctors in order to sell supplements. And I'm like, this is the most nefarious fucking thing that you could potentially do with AI. Like, I'm legitimately struggling to think of a worse application for it. Not only are you using AI to deep fake an actual person, like an actual human doctor, to basically replace them in a way, but you are feeding people who are trying to find professional advice for free and for accessible in an accessible way. They're looking for professional advice, but they're getting this misinformation and a frou-frou herbal supplement that isn't even approved by the FDA. And I'm like, that's where we are right now. There's still some effort in there, but there's also no good intent behind it. It's created solely to suck the public dry. And that's honestly the future of advertisement in my view. It's kind of like how I purposefully try to ad block every single YouTube video that I watch, and it's terrible. And I skip all the sponsorship segments too. And it's terrible, I know, because as an indie creator, but at the same time, like, a lot of these products are just like being hawked to us. Like, I don't approve of how creators are being forced to hawk all these products. Like, there's no passion and creativity. Like, you can tell that there's a dwindling amount of passion and creativity on YouTube these days, especially when some of the things that they hawk are actually scams. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've heard people I'd respect, like, talk about BetterHelp and all these little knickknacks. Like, the worst thing that one of my favorite podcasts used to do was terrible. It's a podcast called Swindled, and what it used to be was a podcast about corporate greed and the ways that corporate greed has harmed the public, and tried to cover it up. But then they started advertising things like BetterHelp and Simply Safe and all these advertisers, and I'm like, well, first off, advertising is a little bit iffy as it is, but I understand, I guess, if you're trying to keep things going. It's a podcast that requires money, and yeah, that's true for YouTube indie creators as well. But at the same time, it's sort of like, does it have to be Simply Safe? And does it have to be BetterHelp? Does it have to be all these services that are very predatory towards consumers or sell things that are dodgy? Like, it's weird, and that's where we are right now. Like, back in the day, it's so ironic to think that advertisements used to have soul in them, and now the advertisements are sucking the soul out of most things that they're put around, you know? So, but it is what it is. That is the current era. But yeah, the main point is, like, I still love old commercials, and I still watch them whenever I'm feeling like I just need to turn my brain off and indulge in something nostalgic. And that's the same with, like, 80s sitcoms too. They're 80s and 90s sitcoms. They're all advertising like this super saccharine bullshit. I mean, it's not really advertising, they're just stories, but, like, they're mind candy. Like, if you watch an episode of Full House, you will walk away feeling no kind of enlightenment. But at the same time, you will feel very safe and very warm inside. Unless it's a Michelle-centric episode. I'm sorry. Like, I can't stand that kid. I liked the early episodes wherever it was like Michelle was still a baby. Maybe it's just because I grew up with it, Full House and stuff like that. So it's sort of like now that I'm older and not Michelle's age, I'm like, oh no, Michelle is so annoying. But yeah, Full House. Perfect Strangers is also really good, although it will give you secondhand embarrassment on some episodes. Uh, Family Matters is super good, even the ones that are supposedly going downhill with too much Urkel and stuff like that. Just like all these really dumb mind candy sitcoms. And then in the 80s, you also had like the family centric ones with like Family Ties and Mr. Belvedere, and they're feel good and cutesy and extremely white and a little bit Reagan-y if you're watching Family Ties. Like shockingly so. You're like watching this and you're going, oh no, all of them are yuppies, not just the one who's who's a literal canonical young Republican. Or you're watching I don't remember what the one with Kirk Cameron was called, but you watch that and you're like, you were so cute before you went to like weird and right wing. But it's all like safe and cute, and it makes you feel comfort, you know? Like, you get the sort of nostalgia and the sort of feeling like the people in these little worlds never really had to worry about anything, and the people that these advertisements are for get to live in a world where they don't have to, where there's political worry, but it's not as bad as right now. But yeah, that is nostalgia. I miss the 90s in ways. Like, in some ways, it was, in some respects, I don't miss, like, how openly bigoted a lot of folks were. But at the same time, I feel like it was a little bit less stress than what we have now. At the very least, we all could make a fair wage. Jesus Christ. Anyway. Cryptic says, yeah, I feel very fortunate that most of the YouTubers I watch who do ad reads at least seem to actually use and like the stuff they advertise, and it's just a specific solid product. And Cryptic also said, pretty sure older than the 90s. Last time I was super sick and binged like half of Hogan's Heroes, and it was so nice. Totally understandable. That is definitely older than 90s. I think that's the 70s. I want to say 60s or 70s. Hogan's Heroes isn't bad. Like there are some iffy things with it. Like say what you want about the cartoonification of actual Nazi, you know, stuff, but it's also mind candy and entertaining. Dipshit X used to, and I used to watch it a lot actually to help get ourselves ready for sleep, essentially. Very cleanly, thank you. It was just like at the end of the long day, you just want to cuddle up with your significant other and watch some stupid show that turns your brain off, and that was one of them. Then again, X is also kind of like politically interesting, so yeah, we did watch MASH, which was really good too. But we also watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine, so it's like, yeah, you get the idea. Cryptic says, just looked in, it was the 60s. Watched it all the time with my dad as a kid, so it's been a whole thing. Totally understandable. That's in itself nostalgia, so I get it. Anyway, it's currently 9:47, so we should probably also the sooner that we get through the next 2 sprints, the sooner I can lie face down and watch 80s commercials and knit for the. Yes, lie face down and knit and watch 80s commercial all at once. I am a very talented person, okay? But the faster we get through that, the faster that'll happen. So, if you just joined us, hello, welcome. We are lining up for the second of 3 sprints. So if you want to say hello, feel free to say hello. If you want to talk about your projects, feel free to talk about your projects now. I am working on the 6th draft of my fantasy novel, and Cryptic is working on laundry. I say this only because there are apparently more views, according to the stats panel. I don't know if it lies, though. I don't even know how to read that thing. But anyway. Hello. We're getting into it. Like I said, I'm wound up today. I might also be stalling so that we can start on an even number, but let's how about we don't stall anymore? How about that? So 20 minutes are on the clock. If you haven't gone in your water and stretched yet, do that now, or just like do it in the first couple minutes. You know, hydrate. But that said, I will see you at the end of 20 minutes. Good luck. All right, that is the second of 3 word sprints. How did we do? Let's see. For my efforts, 595, which is really not bad. You can definitely tell I'm having fun with this. I might actually end up finishing this chapter today because, like, I could continue on, but chapter 5 was going to be short either way. How many words is chapter 5 so far? Only 2079. This is a definite downgrade from previous chapters. Like, I'm flicking through, we have like 6,869 for chapters 4, 3,267 for chapter 3, chapter 2 is 7,519, and so far chapter 1 is 8,357, and I know that it's actually missing a part anyway. But, you know, number one, I'm going to trim down, as I keep telling myself. And number two, you know, you end a chapter where it makes the most sense to end it. And that, for me, is going to probably be after Mick gets it out of Eleanor what happened. I mean, I'll probably stall it a little bit. She'll probably be like, yeah, I saw it. It was weird. I don't know how to explain it. I've never seen anything like it. It was definitely blood magic that I've never seen in my life. It's definitely fast, and she'll be stalling and stalling, trying to. Actually, yes, this does work. I do like this. She'll just continuously stall, and Mick will get increasingly, simultaneously more worried, yet less panicked. And eventually he's going to get it out of her, and it's just going to reset the cycle, and he's going to need like several hours to process this. And the chapter 6 will start off, we'll pick up hours later after he's had time to think about this and sulk and wait for the dead god to come back, and he never does. And it's going to be fun. Although, like, I'm right now trying to think on the fly. Like, on the one hand, I want to have Phelan, the goddess of shadow, pop up and give him the warning that, hey, these things are coming. On the other hand, I feel like I want to give more importance to the dead god, so he might actually have that. But it would make the most sense if the next chapter started in the morning so that Mick has had time to process, and he might even have time to actually, maybe he'll start off, they find out that they're actually near a body of water, and he has time to examine himself while Eleanor is trying to do her best to do all the things that he used to do whenever he had hands. But then after that, that means that the end of the Phelan Woods chapter would then have to be in which possibly Albert get it. There is a part at the very end where the duo meet Reuben. Reuben has been wandering around trying to ward people off of the dragon sightings, quote unquote, because he is the dragon, and he keeps on thinking, hey, yeah, I'm alone in these woods. I'm going to unveil myself. And he's dumb and doesn't realize that's a bad idea. But, so you have that, Reuben coming in, and you also have Albert coming in. And Albert might have been chosen at this point, or just happens to be fanning out and doing a search with other adventurers for the dragon that had attacked the Fey village the night before. In other words, yes, this is why I create an outline, and the outline is a very fun suggestion that I then throw out while I'm doing the rest of the draft. But, back into the chat. Let's see. Cryptic said one thing that I missed. My ears perked up the second you said Defunct Land. Defunct Land is fantastic. I do love those there's documentary YouTubers. Like there are definitely some that just take it to ridiculous levels. Like I really want to for the most part I do like Quentin reviews, but I also feel like he does it for the meme. Like the 6-hour-long iCarly video and the 42-hour-long Beverly Hillbillies video, those were definitely memes. But I did enjoy like the Garfield documentary actually. But just in general, the documentaries on YouTube are just top notch. Like Defunct Land's a really good one. Down the Rabbit Hole only does a few every so often, but anytime one pops up, you know it's quality. Things like that. It's fantastic. But anyway, hell yeah to Defunct Land. I watched Defunct Land. Cryptic says Fed the Cat's got the big hammer. Fed the Cat's got the big hamper downstairs and got some of it put away. Don't know if I'll have the energy to do the rest though. Might need to just chill in the last sprint. And that is totally okay. If I end up finishing up the chapter, by the time in the middle of the next sprint, then I might join you. Like, I think it's only going to be a few more paragraphs before I finish this chapter. But, you know, we'll see where it goes. I'm kind of like pausing, checking my messages, enjoying this cup of cocoa. It's probably not the greatest. So my cocoa recipe is very similar, or very simple actually, and it's something I've been doing for years and years. So it's 2 tablespoons sugar, which is a lot I know, but trust me. 2 tablespoons cocoa powder, pinch of salt, splash of vanilla, and then if you want to, you can add like a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of cayenne, anything that you want. And you start off by putting this all in a medium saucepan and then adding a splash of milk of your choice. I use almond milk because it's cheap and also does not make my insides want to come out through my fun bits. So you start off with just a splash of milk, get everything melted down, and then you add in, like, you fill up your mug. That's the easiest way to do this. Like, you just kind of eyeball it, fill up the rest of it with, like, milk, and then you dump that mug into your pot, and then you heat it up, and that's how you get hot cocoa. But this time around, I used the remnants of my Turon, and I rolled banana around in it, and it's like, it's okay. but it's like you get the sweetness of the banana. I'm also thinking like, should I have done that? But there's also cinnamon in it, and the cinnamon's kind of like adding this little gritty texture to it. I bought, so there's a farmer's market nearby, and I spent way too much on spices at one point, but it was worth it because it is definitely like the best cinnamon I've ever had in my life. That's, the downside is it's actual cinnamon, so it's sort of like, oh damn, this is like overpowering. But I will finish it. It is still cocoa, is my last sugar before I go into fun bits. If I get sick, I get sick, whatever. But yeah, I'm just kind of like chilling, and I guess I can talk a little bit about what to expect for. I did a little bit earlier in the stream, but for those of you who aren't actually going to be signing up for the newsletter, first of all, how dare you go sign up for the newsletter? I'm kidding, you don't have to do that. Second of all, so there's LGBTQ write-a-thon, and that's honestly the big thing that I'm going to be doing. So it's for a couple of reasons. Number one, I currently got a few in real life balls in the air. Luckily, October's not the absolute mind blending and eyeball bleeding time of the year where I'm busy with all the things. That's actually the end of November, beginning of December, because that's like the most busy time of my work calendar. But there are things that are shuffling around. And on top of that, as I've mentioned, I'm not participating in pitch events for the foreseeable future. I don't know how long that's going to last. I know that I'm not going to be participating in... Actually, let me see. Let me see if there are any upcoming ones that I forgot about. Oh, Ghost Pit. There's a new one. Interesting. I'm gonna follow anyway. I'm not participating in that one. DV Pit. I should actually follow this closer because there are some real good stuff that I haven't actually heard of too. Like Pit Black. Dang, I wish I had promoted that one. That is really cool though. Oh, it was an off... Okay, interesting. That was an offline pitch event. There was definitely something that was coming up on the horizon that I was definitely participating in. I just can't remember what it is off the top of my head. I'm checking my calendar now, don't worry. This really doesn't matter at all. Okay, yeah, no, there's not really anything going on. Probably at most I'm going to participate in the prompt events, of which LGBTQ Write-a-thon is one of them. But there's supposed to be another one in November called Memember, I think. And it's all going to be good fun, all the way down the line. I have heard that there were a couple of nano-like events on the horizon, but I'm just going to casually do it. Like, I know actually participating in NaNoWriMo is kind of taboo nowadays because NaNoWriMo sucks. I don't even know if it's, I know that the org doesn't exist. I don't know if, like, there's any kind of community surrounding it anymore. And nor do I actually care. So if you're thinking about telling me whether or not there was any community, don't worry about that. I don't care. But I still kind of want to challenge myself to do 50,000 words in 30 days. So you'll see that. there's an accountability thread pinned in my on my Blue Sky, which I do near daily updates to with word counts, so you can just sort of watch me go. That will pick up in November for sure. Um, it also needs to be refreshed a little bit. Right now, it's like B as its advertisement post, but like, or as its head post. But as I've said, I've found out recently that people like bees, so they pay more attention to that. Um, Still, I would like to actually have something that tells you about what the story is about eventually, but that's going to be a worry for some other time. In other words, yeah, that's what's on the horizon. I do have some schedule stuff, and I know that I will reiterate this after the break. But needless to say, there will be no extra stream. It's kind of open season ish. Not open season, but like it's going to be hectic as hell. Like tomorrow's raid night, Thursday is D&D, Friday is the only breath I have of it available, and even then I'm going to be using it to sort out some real life stuff. Saturday, it's sorting out more real life stuff, followed by a trip in the city. Sunday, it's me doing adult things. Then we're back up to the top of the hour with Monday, which means that the first time that I have is like one of those weeks again, and it's like a roller coaster week too, because like not all of these are mind blending things. Like sometimes I will have weeks where it's like all the things are happening at once, and on top of that, work is like a constant stream of oh no, everything is on fire. But this week it's like there's a lot of good stuff that's happening, a lot of bad stuff. I just don't get a breather until Friday briefly, Monday maybe. Well, not even Monday, because Monday is another 8 day. So Tuesday is the next time that you'll be able to see me. And then finally I'll have like a moment to just sort of chill out after that. And then I've already got plans for the next 3 weekends, or at least 3 of the 4 weekends of October. It is going to be a very wild month. But you know, you take things one step at a time. And you take things slowly, you stick to routines. Every night or every morning I wake up early and I answer the daily question and do a little bit of writing. Every night after work, I make dinner and then do a little bit of writing and then do whatever it is that I have that for the plan. If I don't have any plans, it's more writing. Then we start all over again with the next day, and we keep doing that until I hit a weekend, during which most of them will be spent in the city. One of them will not, luckily, but yeah. But it is... It's going to be a mad dash to Halloween. I really hope that I'll be able to get to enjoy some parts of it, because I'm not as much of a Halloween girly as some people. Like, for me, if I had a choice between Christmas and Halloween, I'd choose Halloween every time. But I still like the aesthetics. Like, I love fall, and I do like those cutesy children's Halloween specials that they used to do, where it's like candy flavored horror. You know, like Hocus Pocus and stuff like that. But and I do love Halloween decorations. Like, I love Christmas decorations too. But for me, like, I prefer like Christmas decorations in the house. I prefer like the Christmas specials and indoor Christmas decorations, the way stores get all dressed up in all those tinsels. Actual lawn displays are kind of like, they're okay, I guess. Where it's at those where people get all hog wild with like Halloween. Like, there's this one house that I pass by whenever I'm going into the city, and they do the wildest display. Like they have one of those old houses that has like a porch, and the porch had a porch on front, on at the front of their house, and above the porch is like a roof, so it's like a roofed porch, you know. And then they put like a 20-foot tall skeleton on top of that roof, and there are lights and decorations and cobwebs everywhere, and it's the trippiest thing. I love it so much. Um, Cryptic says on lawn displays, I mostly just like looking at other people's. Yeah, 100%. Like I have never done a lawn display. Like my family has actually been. I mean, obviously, because my dad is Jewish and my mother comes from a country where you don't really do Christmas the same way. Like in the Philippines, Christmas is very much a big deal, but it's not celebrated exactly like we do here. And I don't. It's hard to explain, I think. It's more about going to church and being with family. And there are parades and celebrations, but it's not like the secular parade of commercialism that we have in the States. And so therefore, like, there are definitely such things as Christmas decorations in a Filipino household. Like I would go over to one of my aunt's houses, and by aunt I mean friend of the family, and she would have the whole 9 yards, like upside down Christmas tree and everything. Like Christmas tree is hanging from the ceiling. That is a Filipino thing, as far as I know, and is wild. But in my mom's household, she wanted us to be raised Jewish, my brother and me. So she didn't really celebrate Christmas as often, and for her it's just sort of like a relief because then she doesn't have to go out and make. She still got us presents. Like this was the excuse to take advantage of Christmas sales and get us like clothes that we needed and things that we needed, things like that. And occasionally, and now and then, things that we actually wanted to. But 100%, she didn't really feel the need to bring us to church because we were Jewish, and she never really wanted to make a huge deal about her religion. Um, to her, she's kind of like, she takes kind of like a little bit of a cynical view of it. She's very spiritual, not super religious, if you know what I mean. So that was Christmas for my family. And my dad's side, we do have a menorah. I have the menorah, actually, our family menorahs, and our family menorah. And I do light it every year. Is one of the few Jewish holidays that I actually celebrate, even though Hanukkah is actually a minor holiday. It's largely because I forget everything else. And for me, it's sort of like a peaceful cleansing holiday where I get to reflect on the past year and just sort of vibe on my own. So I'm probably doing that again. But in our household, about the only thing that we had was a Christmas tree and a menorah. And when I graduated from elementary school, we didn't even have really the Christmas tree. It was in storage and we had the ornaments and everything, but nobody wanted to put it up and nobody wanted to make a big deal about Christmas, so we didn't. But also, growing up, my family didn't do outdoor decorations. That was more the neighbors, or, you know, kind of, sort of, because I lived on a street with poor people. By which I mean we were all fucking poor. Like I used to get my clothes from like the thrift store and stuff like that, and like not even like Goodwill kind of thrift store, but kind of like before there was Walmart, there was this place, you know. So and it's like it's hard to describe without if you don't know much about Midwestern stores, but it was like Hills. If you're familiar with Hills, if you're like from Western Pennsylvania and West Virginia and or Ohio, that kind of place. Except hills was too expensive. So that was the level that we're talking about. Like, my parents kept food on our back, or sorry, food on our table and clothes on our backs, and we had like a a modest number of luxuries, but like for sure, we weren't we weren't starving or impoverished, but we were definitely not like the people who were living in the McMansions that were going up just on top of the hill that we lived on. So, and we were like that. The entire street was like that I lived on. The only difference is that my parents kind of like scrimped and saved, and this when it came to like getting cable and pets. Like I only had cable for a few years, which is how I know about Nickelodeon shows. But and we only had like the only reason why we had a game console at all is because of my grandmother just like spoiling my brother. But like every other house on the street, like they had all kinds of animals. They would have like cable and multiple game consoles, and it kind of like but at the same time they would be like the house was falling apart. So it's like it was a weird little neighborhood. We all judged each other, not gonna lie. But the point is, I don't remember what the point is. Oh, right, Christmas. Nobody on that street did Christmas decorations because none of us could afford Christmas decorations. We also didn't do Halloween decorations. But we did do trick-or-treating. Like, that was a big thing in my neighborhood. The entire trick-or-treating thing. And going around getting free candy and giving out free candy. It was great. Christmas tended to be celebrated within the home. So, like, I didn't really have an appreciation for Christmas until later on in life, whenever I was old enough to go out. Because, like, when I was a kid, you know, my mom would drag me to stores, and, you know, it would never be, like, the ones that were dressed up for Christmas or anything like that, because those were too expensive. But, also because she didn't really want to hang out with crowds of people, rightly so. So we wouldn't go to the mall for Christmas and things like that. We would try to avoid it. But as I got older and I had the ability to make terrible decisions, like buying Pop-Tarts en masse and stuff, I would take myself to all these crowded things. So, like, every single year, I know it is a fucking bad idea, but I will go to Herald Square and go see the Macy's Christmas decorations. But, you know, to give myself some credit, I'd never go out on Black Friday ever. I do not even do shopping on Black Friday or Cyber Monday. Like, I 100% do not do that. And also, I never actually attend any parade, like, especially Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. I will low-key subscribe to Peacock on burner accounts just to watch it, but, like, I would never go and watch it myself. But yeah, I do love those, like, holidays that, like, make an effort to be cutesy and fun and nostalgic. But, when it comes to Christmas decorations, getting further back into the point, I prefer seeing them in stores and, you know, in indoor settings, because to me, like, Christmas is an indoor holiday. Halloween, though, is when you go hog wild and you let yourself have fun. So, like, you would go outside, you enjoy, you're surrounded by falling leaves, and by the way, your neighbor has like 6 million styrofoam and plastic skeletons just lying all over his yard. So there's that. Also, like, I don't know how I feel about Christmas decorations anymore. Like, when I was a kid, one thing that my dad would do was drive my brother and me around to, like, the rich parts of town, quote unquote, the rich parts, the ones that actually put out lights. And they would be very cute displays, and they would make you feel a little bit homey, sure. But, then as an adult, the first year that I had known Dipshit, he took me to Diker Heights because I was kind of curious about it. And then I just stopped wanting to see Christmas decorations in people's homes. For those of you who don't know, Diker Heights is a wealthier part of Brooklyn that is famous for its Christmas decorations. Like, people go all out. Like, have you ever seen those videos of people doing like timed displays with music and lights and everything would be flashing? Take one of those and then multiply it by 10 just for that one yard. Like, to give you an idea of how out of this fucking world some people are, people in Diker Heights would hire actual companies months in advance to design their Christmas displays. And Dipshit took me there once, and once and only once. Incidentally, the videos wherein people do lighted timed music displays, those aren't actually in Diker Heights. That's just to give you an idea of what to expect. Diker Heights is very much a Brooklyn neighborhood, so it looks like, so it's very nice, very large houses with very minimal like yard space. So that's how you know that all those videos do not take place in Diker Heights. That, and they're not as ostentatious. Like, we are talking about absolute fucking insanity when it comes to these displays. Cryptic says, oh, I've seen those videos, yeah. Hiring someone to do it is just too much IMO, right? And the worst part about it is some of those people are snowbirds. And if you haven't heard the term snowbird, what that means is a person who has a residency in a northern state. Usually it's New York, sometimes it's Massachusetts and Boston. And every winter they go south to spend several months in warms. So that's why they're called snowbirds, because they fly south for the winter. So in Diker Heights, you have people who are snowbirds, but they still have Christmas displays. And it's like, that's how you know you're fucking rich, and that's how you know I'm going to hate you. But yeah, Dipshit took me to Diker Heights once. He was kind of like mid about it. Like, he definitely wasn't enjoying himself, and he even said so whenever we stopped in church to like take a rest. But it was also, that's how I should have seen like that as a red flag. But like, also, it was very crowded, very loud, very bright, and while, you know, there were some really cool displays, it's like when it's that crowded, it's really hard. I know I just said that I go to Herald Square, where it's even fucking worse to go and see the Macy's Christmas displays. But it's a city, so it's slightly different. If it's somebody's house, like if this is like a residential neighborhood, it just is weird to me. So like, I don't really care as much for Christmas displays. In fact, I actually prefer it whenever I see like a house that just has a very simple string of lights here, or like they dressed up their bushes with like those nets of string lights. Those are like simple, tasteful, and they do kind of evoke that feeling of oh hey, I'm back in the 90s, and you know, somewhere in my memories playing, and there's gingerbreads, everything everywhere, and it just feels safe. But like, when you get to like inflatable Rudolphs that are like 12 feet tall and musical displays that are on at all hours, and spotlights everywhere. I'm just like, okay, you're going a little bit too far. No, thank you. You don't get that same effect with Halloween decorations. And in fact, the more you put out Halloween decorations, the more funnier it gets. Like, as I was describing that one house with like the 20-foot plastic skeleton hanging off of the porch, like, it was just so fucking funny because, like, you had houses on either side that might do one or two decorations or no decorations at all, and all of a sudden it's like graveyard in the front yard, cobwebs in all the trees, skeletons everywhere, and then you're back to suburbia. And it's amazing. I love that for them. I hope they do it again this year. Like, I need to take pictures of this place. It was great. But when you do something like that, it's clear that it's not like you're celebrating corporations or it's like trying to out Christmas a neighbor or something like that. You're just there to have fun and see how many skeletons you can put in your yard before somebody's dog comes and tries to steal a femur. But anyway, Cryptic says, why? Why would you bother decorating when you're not even there? I don't know. I think it's just to keep up with things. Like, you're trying to fit in with the rest of your neighborhood or something like that. Or it's sort of like, I guess in Diker Heights, at least, it's just sort of expected that you're part of that. But to me, it's just like, why? It's so much of a waste of money. And I don't normally judge how people use money, but in that specific case, it's a waste of money. Like, you are using resources, you're putting stuff on an electrical grid that could have been, and using a power that could have gone elsewhere. It's like, why? What is the point of this? Anyway, that is the very long-winded explanation for why I prefer Christmas decorations to stay in stores and inside the home, but Halloween can just go hog wild. Like, I even like I love when people do the insides of their house too. Like, back when my brother and I used to go trick-or-treating, and back when my parents actually celebrated Halloween, they didn't go hog wild exactly, but they had like this tape of spooky sounds, and my dad would put in this black light bulb, and it was the greatest. Like, the vibes were immaculate. Like, some people do that on the insides of their houses, and it's like, the vibes are there, man. And I say this even though, like, I'm, again, a Christmas girly over a Halloween girly. But, like, when it gets to the actual day, it's just sort of like, I would much rather just sit cozy, listening to Christmas tunes, and drinking hot cocoa, and watching a Rankin Bass special over chaining horror movies, you know, and eating candy, and dressing up for Halloween, that kind of thing. But, yeah, it's also why I just kind of like indoor decorations for Christmas too, because it just feels cozier. And I don't know, maybe now that I've settled into my apartment, maybe I'll buy like a little Christmas tree or something like that. Just like Christmas decorations, something sparkly to make me happy. Because that's really what it's about. When you're an adult, you can buy things that make you happy. Do you want to buy an entire cake and just eat it? You're not a sad individual. You are an adult making adult decisions. Do you want to buy like a Christmas tree, a plastic Christmas tree, and then decorate it with a tinsel and shit like that? You are allowed to do that because you are an adult, man. Do what you want. But, Cryptic says, we just set up the Mad Scientist station on the piano the other day. Probably my favorite part of our decorations every year, to be honest. That is excellent. Maybe I should consider doing something for Halloween. Like, I once did like a little jack-o'-lantern, maybe like from an actual pumpkin. Maybe I should do that again, except I probably shouldn't because bugs. But anyway, um, it is currently 10, coming up to 10:50. So now is a good time to do the last sprint of the night. If you don't mind, while I grab this just to make sure that, okay, so we do have 2 hours left on this. Cool. Anyway, yeah, last sprint of the night, 20 minutes on the clock, and then I will go over the schedule again and wrap things up. So, get ready, get set, and here we go. Alright, that is the last of the sprints. How did we do? You saw me kind of like floundering in the last few minutes. That's because I finished up the chapter with the last 510 words. So I have set up the next document for chapter 6, and that is basically all I'm doing for tonight. I will record my progress on my daily thread. But other than that, yeah, like I did 2 scenes tonight. I am very proud of myself. That is 633 words altogether. That is pretty rad progress. I like that. Cryptic says, chilled so hard. Excellent, excellent. And in fact, I'm going to let you chill even more in just a moment. But basically, to summarize, going right back to the weekly schedule, today, or this week is going to be a fucking insane week. Tomorrow it's going to be raid night. There's, I don't even get a break on Thursday because it's D&D night. There's going to be something every single night until finally we're right back to Tuesday. So no secret streams, not that I've been doing any lately, but the next time you will see me will be on Tuesday, and then we'll play by ear after that. I'm definitely going to be a little bit kinder to myself in October, and I will definitely be throwing myself a little bit harder into various pursuits. But, you know, whatever happens, happens. It really depends on how various things will line up. But other than that, you know, thank you for hanging out with me as always. Thank you especially to Cryptic for chilling out with me and talking with me about, you know, Christmas versus Halloween, nostalgia, all kinds of other fun stuff. As always, these are fun. Like, even when I'm super tired, as I was on and off today, I always look forward to doing these. So it's been excellent. Benjamin says hello as well, and Benjamin also hopes that you will get plenty of rest. Benjamin is currently vibrating. He has no vibrating settings. I just like making him vibrate when he's excited. There you go. I will see you all on Tuesday. But I do hope that you have an excellent week. Benjamin hopes that you have an excellent week too. Take care of yourselves. Remember to stay hydrated. Don't overwork yourselves. And hang in there, regardless of what happens. Love y'all, and good night.